among the top 10 flat earth channels on YouTube with the highest subscriber counts. Oliver Ibanez currently holds second place with 536,000 subscribers. But many of us English speakers have never even heard of him. That is because his channel is entirely in Spanish. So today I'm going to translate one of his videos for you that he made back in 2017 about eclipses. Please enjoy. Alright everyone, I'm Oliver, and today I want to talk to you about eclipses on the flat earth. In this video we will see how eclipses are actually predicted and the real cause behind them. We are often told that it is because of the heliocentric model that eclipses can be predicted with total accuracy. But nothing is farther from the truth, since eclipses are not calculated following the heliocentric model, but rather are calculated following time intervals that were discovered thousands of years ago. In his book, The True System of the Universe, James Gillespie wrote a lot about them before the current heliocentric theory even existed. Hundreds of years before Christ, ancient civilizations already knew what caused eclipses and knew how to predict their timing with great accuracy, as well as the movements of the sun, moon, and stars. In the Earth Review of 1897, Thomas George Ferguson wrote, "No doubt some will say, well, how do astronomers foretell eclipses and such so accurately? This is done by cycles. The Chinese, for thousands of years, have been able to predict the various solar and lunar eclipses, and do so now, in spite of their disbelief in the theories of Newton and Copernicus." Sir Robert Ball, in his book The Story of the Heavens, wrote, "If we look at all the eclipses in a period of 18 or 19 years, then we can predict with enough accuracy all future eclipses. It is only necessary to know that within 18 years and 11 days after an eclipse, a similar one will occur again. This is the rule that allowed ancient astronomers to predict eclipses." Samuel Rowbotham, in his book Earth Not a Globe, wrote, "The simplest method of predicting a future eclipse is to take tables that have been formed over hundreds of years of careful observation. Any observer can form their own tables if you collect the calendars of the last 40 years. The time of the eclipses in each year can then be separated and organized into a table. After examining the table, the observer will soon realize that there are cycles of eclipses that are repeated. When reaching eclipse number 19 or 20, they will see that it is a repetition of the first eclipses in the table. So following this method, it will be very easy to predict similar future eclipses." Modern science has nothing to do with the predictions that the ancient civilizations already made. The only thing modern science has done is make these predictions a little more precise as a result of having a broader observation period. According to the heliocentric theory, a lunar eclipse is formed when the Earth is interposed exactly between the Sun and Moon. The Earth then casts its shadow on the Moon, thus causing the lunar eclipse. But this explanation has already been refuted by Frederick Henry Cook. In his book, The Terrestrial Plane, he writes, "According to the heliocentric theory, a lunar eclipse occurs when the Sun, the Earth, and the Moon are in a straight line. But it is documented that since the 15th century, more than 50 eclipses have occurred while both the Sun and Moon were still visible above the horizon." In other words, the Sun and the Moon were visible at the same time in the sky while the Moon was eclipsed. For example, on July 19th of 1750, in Paris, observers saw an eclipsed moon while the Sun was clearly seen in the sky above the horizon. The same thing happened in the eclipses of April 20th of 1837, September 20th of 1700, June 16th of 1666, November 3rd of 1648, and July 17th of 1590. Also, a recent documented event occurred on August 16th of 1989 in Hawaii, where the partially eclipsed moon could be seen rising while the sun was still setting. That means the sun, the earth, and the moon were not aligned while the lunar eclipse occurred. So it is impossible that the eclipse was caused by the Earth's shadow being projected onto the moon. Another thing they say is that the solar eclipse occurs when the moon stands between the Earth and the sun, the moon covering the exact circumference of the sun. This already improbable scenario is refuted by recordings where it can be seen that it is not the moon covering the sun during an eclipse, showing us the moon does not cause the solar eclipse. On March 20th of 2015, a total eclipse of the sun took place, and the Travel Quest International Company organized a flight of 50 people to observe this phenomenon from the North Atlantic. And this is where the subject gets interesting. Several passengers filmed the totality of the eclipse, and the recordings show black orbs without light around the sun. And one of these orbs was covering the sun at the moment of the eclipse. The possibility of these orbs being stains on the window of the plane is ruled out when we analyze the images and apply these green and red lines. And we see that the orbs move in relation to the sun, while the spots in the airplane window do not move at all. So they are clearly two objects in a different space. The orbs are in the sky next to the sun, so they all move together, in contrast to the spots inside the plane on the window. Curiously, the television networks that broadcasted these images showed edited recordings. They edited the black orbs out of the original recording. The existence of these non-luminescent orbs in the sky has been corroborated for thousands of years by astronomers and observers. In the report of the Council of the Royal Astronomical Society in June of 1850, it was written that we must seriously doubt that the moon is the only satellite of the Earth. In the report of the Academy of Sciences on October 12th of 1846, and again in August of 1947, the director of one of the French observatories showed a series of calculations and observations that led him to conclude the following: there is at least one non-luminescent celestial body of considerable size attached to the Earth as a satellite. The astronomer and mathematician Sir John Herschel admitted that there are invisible moons in the firmament. Another astronomer and mathematician, John Lubbock, thought so as well, and even showed formulas for calculating their distances. At the reunion of the British Association for the Advancement of Science in 1850, the president said the following: "The view is gaining popularity, that the stars were accompanied by large orbs that never emitted light. The best astronomer of our time sent me a letter in July of 1844. He said, 'I continue to believe that Procyon and Sirius are really double stars, and that each is made up of a visible and invisible star. Painstaking research at Königsberg by Peter Sauber supports the belief that there are invisible stars in the sky. Johann Heinrich Lambert, a mathematician, physicist, astronomer, and philosopher, wrote that there are large, dark cosmic bodies. The existence of these non-luminescent orbs in the sky has been widely documented over the centuries. However, the elite hide the truth from us, and instead show us computer graphics, a technique that obviously no longer works with people who have woken up. People who follow my channel will already know that the government agency of NASA is a big fraud and is just a setup. In the case of eclipses, all they offer us is a false explanation of reality about how they are formed, and recordings where these orbs are edited out. The truth is that these non-luminescent orbs exist, and these celestial bodies seem to be the direct cause of eclipses. Thank you all very much for being here. Until next time, this message has been brought to you by Oliver Ibanez and the Flat Earth Institute of Science.